Hi, I'm Ralph. This is the recap for week 11 on the carnivore diet. So let me start out with a few statistics and what's been going on this week. And then the next part of this video is going to cover a little hack that I have for, making steak very quickly and extra juicy. So I think it's worth hanging around for that. But first, let me get to some of this week's statistics. I lost 2.2 pounds this past week, and that's pretty awesome. Any week that you can lose weight, that's a definite plus. Now, most weeks I have lost weight, not every week, but you're not going to lose weight every single week while doing the carnivore. But that doesn't mean that your body's not changing. Overall, for the 11 weeks, I have lost 29.2 pounds, and that's pretty awesome, I gotta tell you. I have not only reduced the sizes of my shirts, but I've dropped 2 separate pant sizes, and that's pretty incredible. I love that. Now, let me ask you a question real quick. For those that are on carnivore or just started carnivore, how are you dealing with stress in your life? Is that affecting how you're doing carnivore? And please leave me comments down below to let me know the answers to that question. Because here's what's been going on in my life for the last week. I've had an incredible amount of stress. I've told you that I've run 2 separate YouTube channels, this one and a cooking channel. And each one of those is like a full-time job. That's not really the source of my stress, though. I also am the chief financial officer for my son's corporation. Now, we're not a large corporation, but we're still a corporation. And I get involved in a lot of the transactions when it's dealing with things like payroll or acquiring equipment. And this past week, my son brought on a new employee, and we needed to go out and purchase another work truck. We found a work truck quick enough about a week ago Thursday. That's working out great. The problem is financing it. We deal with a small bank located in a large city that still operates under old-fashioned ways, and I love that about it. If you go to, say, a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America, you plug in your credit score and your address, and 5 minutes later, if not faster, they spit out, yes, you're either approved or you're not. This small bank is an old-fashioned bank. They don't do it that way. They still have a loan committee. They have loan officers that have a lot of discretion. They have their own in-house underwriting department right there at the bank. And I like that because we're able to build a reputation with that bank. We're not just a number. We're not just the corporations or our personal credit scores. They know who we are. And I've made a point over the last couple of years that the business has existed, bringing in my quarterly financials to them and being able to sit in front of them and talk, and they get to know me and feel comfortable with me and my son and our numbers and where the business is going, and that we're successful. So there was never a doubt that we were going to get the loan, what the terms of that loan were going to be. The biggest problem was how quickly can they get the deal done. We found this truck at a very large, reputable dealership in town, a dealership that I've dealt with at various locations that they have multiple times for personal vehicles. They've never dealt with our business. And right off the bat, since they're not familiar with this bank, they are not going to let them wire the funds to them. They're going to require a certified check. Okay, that's not a real big deal. Now, we're also waiting on the answer from our bank. So they already had our most recent financials for the business, but I had to update the personal financials because unlike, dealing with Amazon, if you go to cut a deal with Amazon, you only care about the business's financials. But a small corporation, basically all the loans are guaranteed by the officers. And so they want information about the officers and what their credit scores are like and what their personal financial situations are like. So I had to update all that. But another little thing, and this really caused some delay, was they wanted a certificate of insurance from our insurance company. This is something that they've never required before until after we'd purchased the vehicle. So basically we're getting the vehicle insured before we actually own the vehicle. Okay, I can deal with that. The problem is we're dealing with Geico insurance. I have Geico for my personal insurance on the vehicles and love them. They've always serviced us very well. If we've ever had a claim, they've paid them very quickly and very fairly. Never given us a hassle as far as that's concerned. Love their website, love their mobile app on the phone. The commercial side of Geico, though, it's a nightmare. Their website, it's like a notch above dealing with the original, MS-DOS, software system. I mean, nothing happens easily or quickly. Put in a line of information, and before it lets you go to the next line, it all just starts that wheel spinning and you have to wait on it. Drives me crazy. So other than paying the bill for the insurance, I never really get anything else done. Even paying the bill, I'm not always sure that they've accepted the money, and sometimes I've had to call to confirm that. Now that brings the next situation up, having to call to get this taken care of. They must be shorthanded, because it takes me about an hour just to get somebody on the line. So I'm on hold for a long period of time. I had to call them several times this past week. One time while I was going to a doctor, dermatologist appointment, my doctor called in sick. So the next doctor that could see me, it was going to be a little over an hour just to be able to see them. I figured I'd have a chance to call Geico. I was still dealing with them when I got called into one of the exam rooms. They saw there was an important call, and so basically had to ask the doctor and the nurse to step out while I finished it, and it didn't finish real quickly. I must have appeared like a real jerk to the doctor, and I had to apologize profusely to the doctor and the nurse for this happening. But we had to have this because we needed that truck badly. We already had the employee. We were losing money. It was extremely important to us, but it was just so difficult dealing with Geico commercial that it just created a lot of stress. I mean, even 2 times that I tried to call, besides the 3 that I actually got through, after 30 minutes, they just let the call drop. How frustrating is that, to be on hold for 30 minutes only to have the call drop? But I did not resort to what typically happens when you're under a lot of stress, especially for those of us that are overweight or even obese, where we tend to comfort ourselves with comfort food. I did not resort to that. I stuck to the plan. I stuck to the carnivore diet faithfully the whole time. And I'm a little proud of myself for that. It wasn't easy. Let me know down below in the comments how you deal with stress, what kind of stresses that you've had to go through while being on the carnivore diet. And I think it's good for the people just starting out to figure out how to deal with it, and for the people that have been doing it for a while to give advice to those of us that are still fairly new at it. With that being said, I'm just going to let y'all go on to the next segment here, where I'm going to give you a few cooking hacks that I think are going to come in really handy. Have you ever forgotten to take the meat out of the freezer that you were intending to have for dinner that night? What are you going to do? Are you stuck going out? Not necessarily. We are going to be cooking steaks from frozen, and I mean rock solid frozen. Got 2 New York strip steaks here. Normally when you try to thaw a steak, you could put it in the refrigerator. It could take 2, sometimes 3 days to thaw. You could just leave it out on the counter and it will thaw within a few hours, but you're leaving yourself open to the possibility of bacteria. You could put it into a bowl of water and it will eventually, thaw in there, but some of the same issues as leaving it out on the counter. You could cook sous vide, and that's an ideal way to cook steak. All you have to do is add about an extra half hour to your sous vide time. I'm going to show you a method tonight that could cook these from frozen in probably 20 minutes or less. Now, another good reason for actually considering doing this is there have been some scientific studies done where cooking a steak from frozen actually could give you a juicier end product. That's because as the outside is forming that crust and sealing. The inside is still frozen, so the molecules are not moving around. The moisture that would normally be escaping is not, so it's trapped in the meat until the outside has gotten seared. So you can actually have a steak that's about 30 to 33% juicier cooking it this way over letting it thaw first. Now I'm going to be using a hot air fryer tonight. This is how I've done it a lot, and it works out great. When do you season it? Because it's rock solid. And you're right, you're not going to season it yet. I'm going to flip these about halfway through. About that time, the meat is going to be thawed enough where I can start adding some seasoning, and I can flip it over, and the bottom part will actually be thawed enough to accept the seasoning as well. I'm going to be doing these at about 400 degrees. And I'm going to do that for about 18 minutes. Now, the time is going to be dependent on how you like your steak. I'm going to be shooting for kind of a medium rare. If you want yours a little bit more rare, then you might take it to 16, 17 minutes. If you want it more like a medium, you might take it all the way out to 20 minutes. If you like your steak well done, then you might consider going out and buying hamburger, because you really don't want to spend steak money and then ruin a perfectly good steak. But if you want to give it a try anyway, just lengthen the time. Okay, we're at the halfway point. I've just pulled them out. It's been 9 minutes. Now, here, take a look. This is what they're looking like right now. Obviously, they are soft enough to accept seasoning. So I've got some kosher salt here. Go ahead and flip these over. Gonna go ahead and season the other side. Pop it back in. And we're good for another 9 minutes. Catch you then. Okay, the buzzer's gone off. They're fully rested. Time to see what we've got. Oh, that's looking beautiful inside. Check that out. Pretty nicely done, edge to edge. Let me pick one of these up to show you. Not too bad. Let's taste it. Gunner, come here. Come here, bud. Very anxious, very anxious. That is perfect. So tender. He's wanting more. These were not prime steaks. These were just choice steaks. Came out perfect. Nicely cooked, nicely seasoned. You couldn't ask for anything better, and it only took you under a half an hour. When you're in a rush, consider this little quick tip to cook from frozen. Appreciate your watching. Maybe give me a subscription and catch me the next time. Bye-bye. Gunner says bye-bye too.